Alright, here's another video I'd like to share with you. And this is the Harbor Freight chainsaw sharpener. And what I have here is a shaky camera. There's lots of videos on these sharpeners, and what I want to show you is just an excerpt that I find. Now you can tell that this tooth is really dull, as are the ones next to it. You can see right over here. You can see that chisel end is pretty much worn down, and you can see an area here. If I can focus a little closer for you. Get my homemade tripod working. You can see how there's a dull edge right there. It'll still cut some wood, but it'll come out as real fine sawdust. So you want those chisels to be sharp. Now let me get that camera. There we go. Alright. Now there's plenty of videos on these Harbor Freight chainsaw sharpeners, but what I wanted to touch on was using common sense on these little machines. You can see the stop brake keeps it from moving backwards. It can move forward but not back. And then this is the brake. That's the handle that you'll see on a lot of them. It's got this hand crank handle here, like a bicycle handle. I've got the telefocus on a little bit high right now to kind of give you a quick idea of how this is going to work. But what I can tell you about what I found is, let me get it out here a ways and I'll show. Oops, sorry about that. Okay. Now, this unit, being that it's all pretty much plastic, it's still fairly accurate. But one of the things that it can do is, as you come down with that, basically a chop saw is what this thing is. Plastic, it moves, and it'll move just a little bit. And what that's going to do is give you an idea of how to kind of make these cuts right in here very precise. So if we come down, I'm going to get my camera up close so you can see better. It might take me just a quick second, so bear with me. Get her to autofocus. There's your brake, and that just holds that clamp on the chainsaw. And what that basically is doing, like if I show you this chainsaw here, this chainsaw chain, you can see these are the pieces that the clutch sprocket goes up against these pieces here. And what this little brake does right here is it clamps up against this edge. That's all it's doing. So it's a pretty cheap little thing, but it works if you got it just right. So you're clamping this down and you're working just at the saw. You can adjust this saw. There's a little bit of an adjustment you can also do too. But if I clamp everything down, I'm going down past the saw itself. Now let me turn this on and I'll show you kind of what I figured out. So I've got everything held down. There's my brake, and I can come down here and just barely touch it. Well, if I move that plastic back this way, if I just kind of push it a little bit, you can see the edge of that Let me show you. Sorry about that. I chew my fingernails a lot. You can see that edge right there is still dull. And right there it's not touching. But if I pull it towards me ever so slightly, I can get a little bit of bite on that. Just a little bit more. Yep, it's looking better. Probably one more. Just a little bit. Just a tiny bit. And you can see, and it'll leave just a little tiny burr, but that'll actually just wipe right off. And that thing is, oh yeah, that's gonna dig real nice into a piece of wood. That's what I was gonna, in addition to all the other videos on this particular chainsaw sharpener, I just wanted to give you a highlight of kind of how I do it. A lot of guys, they'll put it right up to the edge and they'll just jam it in there and sharpen it, but I like to save these blades as much as I can, because I typically will take 2 or 3 blades with me out to the woods, so I'm not having to sharpen. And also another thing is, I do my own sharpening with a file, which I don't have. It might be in the truck. This is just a tent peg is all this is, and I'll move that camera out so you can see. And I do my own sharpening. I'll bolt the chainsaw to the chainsaw chain to the chain, and you can go in here at a pretty good angle and just be real easy on those. You can see, just really match up with it. And the file itself is about this, like a 5/32. There's a lot of other videos out there that'll teach you how to do this, but you can see if you go too much one way or too much the other way, you can see this little gap in here is how you want to avoid that. You want to be perfect, and you don't want to be up or down. You want to be exactly straight across when you cut that, because that'll get that edge right there. That's where your money shot is, right there. Everything else has to work together, but there's your money shot right at the edge of that digger. So that one right there is nice. That's gonna do good in a block of wood. Also, you'll see guys will tell you that these lines good for reference, and they are. They have to be exactly parallel, just like this right here. So like I say, that's all I wanted to add to those other videos. You can see these videos on the Harbor Freight chainsaw sharpener. There's several of them, and guys are good at using those, but I just wanted to touch on just barely taking just enough off to get that blade just ever so sharp, so that your chain doesn't get too chopped up. Thank you very much.